Hi, I'm Pradeep. Um, and I started the Instagram page, My Future Sri Lanka. I've also got the Facebook page, My Future Sri Lanka as well. And the motivation behind that was that I truly believe that this nation has the potential to be one of the great nations of the world. I mean, the abundance of this nation, the natural landscape, and this nation being blessed by a smart and intelligent people. I think there's a lot that this nation has from a heritage point of view, from a natural blessing point of view, that we have the opportunity to take this nation to a great place. And strongly feel that it is us as a nation, humans, the individuals in this nation, are the ones that are holding it back from going forward. So, with that in place, I wanted to start this called My Future Sri Lanka that was going to positively impact and influence people to dream of a nation that this nation could be, a nation that is going to be transformative, a nation that's going to be influential. We may be small, but small does not mean insignificant, and that's very important to note. Um, so even as we enter this time of an election is very important because it can have an impact on the forward progress of a nation or a backward regression of a nation. So the choices that we make are going to have impacts and influences. So there are consequences. So I've been eligible to vote for the last, for a while now, almost 30 odd years, or a bit more than that. So I want to share a bit of a grid that I usually go through when I come to voting, and I hope that this is helpful. So I'm going to share 5 points, and I'll try to keep it brief. So 1989, November, almost 30 years ago, the Berlin Wall fell. It didn't fall by accident. It fell because of the constant human struggle for freedom, right? That is what drove it. The drive for truth, the drive for beauty, the drive for goodness, the drive for liberty, the drive for freedom, the drive for justice. Because we really stand up for what is right. Our hearts cry out for what is right, and that's who we are. We're humans. And With the fall of the Berlin Wall, there was a lot of optimism that ran, and the optimism was that now this is going to be a dawn of a new era. But what happened was, over the last 30 years, we've seen such dramatic change globally and locally that it is very difficult to say that we've actually made huge amounts of progress. Technologically, we have; medically, we have; digitally, we have. But as a race, have we moved forward? We are more deeply divided as a humanity. Whether it is you look at it locally or whether you look at it globally, we've seen the rise of global terrorism. We've seen the rise of migration lead into nationalism. We've seen global financial crises like three in the last 30 years. It's almost one every 10 years. That's quite significant. We've also seen the rise of corruption in corporations, in individuals. We've seen the despotic leaders. We've seen people go back on their words. We've seen many of our neighbors living in a sense of fear and anxiety, given the fact that they have nuclear weapons, for example. I mean, there are all these things that are going on in this nation. And then the point that I want to raise is that politicians, even though they might have the best intentions, have don't have a lot of control. We live in a global setting that is highly interconnected, and in such an interconnected setting, it is very difficult to make isolated decisions. And those isolated decisions will be impacting us globally. We depend globally. We are a global nation, so it's very important to note that. So the key point here is that while politicians will be long on their promises, they will be short on delivery, not necessarily because of their unintentionality of doing that. It's just the fact that sometimes it is just really hard. So placing our faith, placing our hope, placing our future in the hands of a politician, I think will always lead us to disappointment. I think we need to look for something higher. I'm going to leave you at that with that one point. The second point is with regards to predicting the future. Now, that's not easy. Future speculation. and we speculate on the future uh, um, either irrationally or rationally. And I like to think of it rationally, and I would do that by looking at the past. And and I would do it simply. I'm no, I don't sit in front of the TV 24/7. I don't look at news 24/7 either. But rather, I would look at their actions and characters displayed in society. And based on how people have acted in the past, I would then use that as a basis to predict how will they be in the future. Because this nicely leads to my point three, is because that when there is power and when there is money in the hands of an individual, that leaves that person with a high probability to become very despotic, or they can become very cruel, or they can be highly controlling, or they can be totalitarian. So that is why it's very important for a leader to have humility. A humble leader, well, has a better chance of being a good leader than an arrogant leader, because all leaders are going to have access to a lot of money and a lot of power and a lot of positional power. The person that we are going to be electing into our presidency is going to have executive powers, and as an executive, they have the authority and the ability to do an immense amount of good or bad. So we have to watch out for their character. The fourth point is also connected to point three, and I've taken this from the Bible. And I like this passage. It says that man looks at the outside, God looks at the heart. And the motivation on that is just like this, that you can't fool God with outside appearances. You could have a nice haircut, you could be wearing a fancy Rolex, you could be driving a great BMW, you could be wearing very expensive shirts, and you could have everything that would show from the outside that you are a success with the words that you use. But always your actions speak louder than words. So you need to sift through and really look at the individual. Don't get caught up in the persona. Okay, every politician is going to be acting the way you want them to act. Why? Because they want your vote. It's simple. So look beyond. Don't be fooled by the image, because that's what they want us to. And my last point is influences. We live in a connected world. You and I, we live in a connected world. The fact that I am speaking and you're listening is an example of connection, right? And there is no leader that is already not influenced. So when you look at a leader, you also need to look at who is influencing them. Their influences, you need to look at what their track record is as well. If their influencers have a strong, upright, good, just track record, okay, there you go. You've got a pretty good chance to say that the guy who is advising this guy is going to be good. So they've got a higher probability. We cannot say with certainty what the output of any person is going to be, because we are human beings and we can easily do bad things. So it is important to also look at who is influencing. Are those influences good? Are those influences going to take this nation forward? So with those 5 points, I just want to leave you and make the right choice. And that's very important. I have taken my voting very lightly the last many times I've voted, but this time I have chosen to really think about it. And I think I owe the right to not just myself, to my children, my family, but to every single person in this nation to make the right choice, because your choice will impact my future. My choice will impact the nation this nation is going to be in the future. So my Sri Lanka, my future Sri Lanka, I dream of a nation that is going to be not just prosperous. Prosperity is secondary, but firstly, it's going to be a place where there is justice, where there is honesty, where there is humility, where there is a desire to give everybody the opportunity for expression, and a nation that is going to stand united and work forward together. That is the nation that will succeed. So I hope you enjoyed this last 10 minutes of my jabbering. I hope you learned something, and I hope you take some of these notes. And even if you don't, please consider the importance of this word. It's not just about you, it's about all of us as a nation, including those who are not in a position to vote. Thank you.